Alex, you alluded to it earlier, but I would have heard from Curtis Morton Jr. There seem to have been some issues with teams from Nevis and the SKNFA. I'm getting the impression that there's some decisions that have been made that really do not consider teams from Nevis. Your thoughts, your experience in terms of the Bath club situation.
Okay, like I think if you are aware, and the public might be aware that on a couple of occasions I've been on Freedom speaking about the unfairness of the SKNFA when it comes to the dealings with Bath, and I am still of the same opinion that we're not asking for any favors. We're not asking, you know, to gain any advantage. All we're asking is that, hey, the same way how we have to go through whatever, if you want to call it, struggles to get over to St. Kitts for games, the same way we believe that, you know, we are one federation, the games supposed to be spread out through, the federation, but that is not the case. And so oftentimes we would have games scheduled, let's say for example, we'll have a game scheduled at 6 o'clock or 6:30. Players have to get off of work. This is not, you know, in the past where most of the players, or majority of the players, were going to school. Some of them are now working. And yes, there's still a few who is going to school. But oftentimes we have to ask the board to delay the travel time because we're waiting on players, because we can't go without a team. And by the time we get to the game, sometimes we have to get, you know, I have to tell the players to get ready on the bus, get ready on the boat, whichever it is, you know, so that we could at least get a little more time when it comes to the warm-up. And sometimes, you know, some of the GC, which is general coordinator, might be a little lenient, but other times the pressure is on. And so when teams would have finished warm-up and going back to the dressing room, that's the time when we probably maybe coming out of the dressing room to be rushed into, you know, to a warm-up. So we find ourselves at a disadvantage. And not only that, but sometimes it depends on where the game is located. We have to take the boat, and then we still have to take a bus, which is, I always saying that is unfair. Always saying is that, look, just, you know, show a level of fairness when it comes to the competition. But it seems as though it goes on deaf ears. For example, last season we had, like I alluded to that already, where games were taken back to St. Kitts.
Which were previously scheduled
For Nevis. Right? And when question being asked, you know, it's like they're saying that the Mundo track, you know, they're saying that the Mundo track, you know, because of what was happening at the Kim Collins Stadium, then there were athletics meet that had to be held in Nevis. But when those games were taken back to St. Kitts, at that point in time, the meets were practically all over. But because some of the teams probably queried coming to Nevis, to play, who did not want to play Bath at home, you know, because of the previous record that we had, before. It's like they were afraid and maybe worked out that Bath was doing too well.
at home.
In the first round, away.
Okay.
Away. So if we're doing so well, you know, away,
Imagine at home.
you know, at home, and if we had that same, you know, momentum then it would have. But again, psychologically, mentally, it affected the team, because only to hear now that the game that was scheduled for Nevis, they're now, gone back to St. Kitts.
But you wrote to the association. What was the response?
We wrote to the association, and it took a while before we got a response. And when we did get a response, like I said before, the response was that the SKNFA reserved the rights to fixture games where necessary.
Wow.
That was, all we asked. What was the reason? They could not give a reason. And then secondly, say it was not a home and away. But at the same time, a game, for example, played that was scheduled for Nevis at the Athletic Stadium against St. Peter's was taken back to St. Kitts, but that game was played at the Technical Center, which is practically St. Peter's home. I mean, yes. And we wrote to them and say, put the game at a neutral venue. No response.
So in terms of the relationship going forward, because of that, some of your underage games were not fixtured. You were not in the competition because your quote unquote was a no-show. Going forward, have you discussed with them in terms of 2025? We can't allow this nonsense to continue. I mean, what are they saying going forward?
Well, the truth about it is that I cannot say what they're saying going forward, because recently, was in a meeting with they call a meeting for the premier clubs, which I thought really was a meeting so that you were going to be making decisions, but we were told at the meeting not to make decisions. Rather, it was a discussion. And so when I make mention of some of these same things, those were the same, responses we got, right? And then not only, the thing about it is that, and I'm not asking, for any, like I said, I'm not asking for any favors, but just like was said before, the chairman of the competition committee is from Nevis.
And he's not working with you?
No, I would not even put it to say work with me. I would not even say put it to say work with me. It's a matter that it's all about, fairness, because the same way, the team, all the teams must not, some team must not be given an advantage over others, right? Let the playing field, and that's another thing. Look at this field. Look at this field. It is, a field that can be compared, with practically the fields in St. Kitts. But yet at the same time, there are questions about the fees in Nevis. And persons are buying into it. Huh? Some of the same clubs would have come here and played practice game. Premier clubs would have come here and played practice game against Bath.
I remember.
And the same field. So if it's good enough for practice games,
why not a competitive game?
That's correct.
So what is your plan? Since there's no response, of course you'll continue to prepare the teams. They'll be under ready to play, but if they're not being fixtured, what?
No, well, we are prepared to have any sit down.
Okay.
Any sit down with the SKNFA. We have tried. We have asked for meetings, but I guess they feel like within themselves that they have the power, and then what we ask or our approach towards certain things is not to their liking, and as a result of that, they resort, to, in my opinion, to pettiness, and try to show that yes, they are in charge, but that is not solving any problem. Our players, the reason why we train is because they want to compete. The reason why you train, because here is it. Now, why would you still turn around and pick the same players who you want to treat that bad in the league? Why would you pick them for nationals? Why, if you think that we're not doing a good job, if you feel like we're not at the stage where like we're begging a game, like we're begging you, an opportunity. It's not begging an opportunity. We pay our dues just like any other club. We have our membership just like any other club. Whatever the requirements were, we have the same requirements. And not only that, we compete in a lot more competition than many of the clubs in St. Kitts.
Okay.
We feature more teams.
Okay.
Some clubs only feature one team.
Got you.
But yet they want to treat us as though, well, we are begging. No, we're not begging.
Okay. Well, thank you, Alex, because this has been really a debate going on for a long while, and I'm hoping that the SKNFA, the executive of the SKNFA, will certainly have a sit down, and I think the term best used would be give us our fair share.
Well, one thing that I said earlier, I would not even say fair share. I would not go along that path. But if it can be fair, at least it can be reasonable.
Okay. Thank you.